Hey Holly, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It is great to see you on here. So, everybody, I know Holly from Salon Republic Murrieta, and I've wanted to get Holly on here for a while, and I'm super excited to get you on. You're a Murrieta, California hairdresser and studio owner who focuses on blonding and balayage. You're a Masters of Balayage Top 50 and awarded Best Hairstylist in the Inland Empire 8 years in a row, which is the thing that I love the most because it's, our industry, your business as a beauty professional is local. It's local.
Right.
So I always kind of wonder, and we interview plenty of people who get, national, international awards, but I wonder if that has as much value as being awarded best hairstylist in your neighborhood, basically, in your region,
Right.
8 years in a row. And I would guess probably not.
Yeah, for me, it's the most important award because it is voted by my clients who appreciate and love me. And so it means the most to me. I do have a huge range of clients because of these low maintenance hair colors. They're coming in maybe twice a year. So I have a lot of clients. Unfortunately, they all get excited when it's voting time. They're like, is it time? Is it time? Every year they look forward to it. And so do I. So I love being named in the magazine. It's really special, especially because it comes from the clients.
Yeah, and that's super cute that they are looking forward to it, and then they like you so much that they want to spend the 2 minutes or 5 minutes to go on there and vote. So there's a couple things that I want to. I'm not done with this local award thing. I
Mhm.
want to get into the whole lived-in color thing you just mentioned, but I first want to talk about the local award thing. I How many clients do you get? How many new clients do you get from this mention in the local publication?
That's a great question. I do get a few. I wouldn't say I get a ton from that. Most of my clients are referral based and then Instagram, and then I do get some from that. Percentage wise, if I had to guess and give a number, I would say 10 to 15% are from that notoriety. But
Okay,
I do
pretty
think
good.
that on Instagram, because I advertise it and I
Mm,
showcase it, I think that's what draws people on my Instagram to trust me that my
sure.
clients have voted for me for this. So I feel like it works in multi facets.
There you go. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There's social proof by being able to say I'm the best hairstylist in the Inland Empire according to the votes. That means a lot of people like me. And if you're a hairdresser, it's good for a lot of people to like you because that means that you're probably pretty good. So that you put that on your gram, and your Instagram account is a good Instagram account. You are active on
Thanks.
it. It's one of the reasons I wanted to interview you is you're not insta famous, okay?
No.
You don't have a bunch of
Yeah.
brands clamoring over paying you a lot of money to put names on your Instagram account. You are like vast majority of hairdressers in the industry, and you're doing it very successfully. And this is really what matters most.
Right.
And I think a lot of the audience, it's while it's entertaining for them to hear an insta famous person or an influencer, somebody with 1 million followers and stuff. I know that a lot of our listeners are like, okay, you can't ask her how it is for her to get new clients because it's totally different than how I get new clients because I'm behind the chair all day and I'm doing my thing and I need to run my business effectively. So that's one of the reasons I want to talk to you because you are very successful at doing what you do in the studio, and so I wanted to talk to you about a lot of the things about the ways that you do it. So with Instagram, you don't need a big account, right?
No,
What do you
no,
what do
you
you
don't.
find is important about a quote unquote normal Instagram account that is going to drive your business, which is what you care about most?
Absolutely. So I post content of work that I do that I want to draw more in. So it's the balayage and the blonding. And I do some brunettes. I don't do perms. I don't do men's cuts. I don't do redheads. I don't do vivids. So I
Mm,
just post what I want to attract. And then I do still use some key hashtags, and now they're calling it keywords. So I
uh,
put that in my caption, not in the comment section, but in the caption. Apparently, there's something with the algorithm that it likes it that way. So one of the big things that I've always done throughout my Instagram career in the Instagram world for the last 7 years has been a hashtag local the city. So I say
Mm.
hashtag Murrieta hairstylist. And even my neighboring city, Temecula, is right next door. So I say hashtag Temecula hairstylist, hashtag Temecula blondes, hashtag Temecula balayage. Same with Murrieta. And I feel like people are still using hashtags to search for people. So that's really effective for me.
Yes. It's very good for that. You have an inland empire in your profile. It's very, very important. Hairdressers, you know, beauty professionals, estheticians, massage therapists, whoever, if you're a personal service provider who relies on a geographically local kind of marketing lens and strategy, you have to put where you do your services. I've
Right.
been saying this almost on every episode now, and it's probably the listeners are like, oh my God, here he goes again. But the reason I'm saying it again is because, you know, 8 years into doing this podcast, that was like news 8 years ago that you needed to be geographically specific, right?
Right.
Valencia, California, Hackensack, New Jersey, Dallas, Texas, put where you are so that somebody, as soon as they visit your page, and this goes for obviously your website, whatever, they know where you are because they may
Right.
like you, but if you're maybe more than an hour away, or if you're 3 states away, unlikely that they're going to book with you. That is the reality of the situation. So it's
Right.
very important. And I still see so many beauty professionals who don't want to put where they work, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. It's a little interesting.
It
I
is
do
interesting.
also with the tags, whenever I'm posting something, whether it's a reel or a post or carousel, I'll do the location nearby. So I'll say the city of Murrieta, location city Murrieta, or a Starbucks that's really busy. We have one that happens to be the training headquarters just down the street. So I tag the Starbucks. I tag things that are close nearby to grab more attention from different areas.
So
Yeah.
I'm coming off of the Vagaro event that was last weekend. For the listeners, that would be like early October, mid-October. They invited me up there. I did a panel, and I put some fancy hairdressers that I know well up there on the panel, and we talked about marketing. And
Mhm.
we talked about a lot of very specific things. Some of them maybe a little bit sophisticated, a little deeper diving on like Facebook ads and SEO on Google and things like this. And then I opened up the questioning to the audience, and the questions were like, what's Meta? And
Oh,
what social media should I be on?
okay.
And what other things? Like, what kind of caption should I write? It was, every question was so basic. There were probably 50
Mm,
people in the audience, and which is great because I can walk around, I can ask questions, it's more intimate, and then the panelists are able to respond, and it's like you get a real great exchange of information. The questions were so basic that I realized that I don't know if we can talk about the basics enough. I
right.
sometimes think, as somebody who does this every week, I sometimes think to myself, I'm repeating myself if I talk about the basics. And so I
Mhm.
try to get a little granular with things. And then when I talk to the bread and butter hairdressers who are trying to fill their books out there, trying to fill their chairs because they have gaps or whatever, they're like, so basic with the questions. And so I have to be better with talking about the basics. And that's one of the reasons why I'm asking you about these things, because they're so important. some people
They really
think
are.
some people think like Instagram, nobody's there anymore, and of course it's diminished a little bit in activity, but it's still one of the big drivers. The biggest driver, though, digitally, is what? That's a question for you. What's the biggest driver digitally?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I hear, and I don't do it. I am just doing Instagram, but I hear TikTok might be the biggest driver. Is that
Well, the
right?
biggest driver is Google.
Oh, Google
Yes.
Ads.
Yes.
Yes,
Well,
I
not
have heard of
necessarily
that.
even ads, just a
Oh, just Google.
presence on Google.
Okay.
So
Okay.
what do you have a presence on Google? So they call it Google My Business or something like that. They go Google Business. They change it every now and
Interesting.
but a
Well,
listing.
apparently that's something I need to do. But fortunately for me, with what I'm doing, it's been working and I consistently still get new clients reaching out weekly. So I'm in a good place, thank God.
Yeah.
But I haven't
S-
had to use that yet. But why not? I think
So
that's
there
smart.
well, I mean what you're doing is enough, right? And
Yeah.
but I'm curious if I type in so what is technically the name of your business?
Holly does great hair.
Okay, so
And
you
I
have it
have
as
been
Holly does
told,
great hair. Okay.
yeah, I have been told clients have found me on Google and I don't know how, but I'm like, okay, great.
All
And
right.
it pops up award-winning stylist.
There you go. So you've done something right with
Something. But I didn't put
Google.
it out there. So thanks to
That's
whoever did.
that's interesting. Maybe Google has just mined the internet. Okay, so hold on a minute. I'm looking. Okay. So listeners, Holly does not have a Google business account, and we're gonna set one up for her. Well, we're gonna go in the direction of setting one up. Okay, so Marissa, VP of Marketing, is here, and so we're gonna do it right here on the air. Okay, Marissa, what do we do?
So
Google.com,
Google my business.
GoogleMyBusiness.com.
Just do Google my business.
Okay, just type in Google My Business
Okay, and then you have to get listed on Google right there.
right here.
Uh-huh.
It says Google Business Profile. Get listed on Google.
Okay.
Okay, and then you
Start
click.
now.
It says stand out on Google with a free business profile. Then you click Start Now.
It's free, everybody. It's free.
It's free, free 99.
So we're gonna put Holly's name right here, business name.
Okay, Holly, what do you want your business name to be? Holly Does Great Hair?
Yes, please.
Okay, she says yes, please. Holly Does Great Hair.
Okay.
Okay.
Create a business.
No, wait a second. We're not going to be able to do this for her, right? Because she needs to like have a password and stuff.
She's gonna have to.
She's gonna email.
Yeah, and it has to be connected to her Gmail account.
Right.
So
Right. Okay, but you would click on continue.
and then I'll walk her down the path of creating her profile. So just make sure you fill it out completely. Make sure you add images of the services you're trying to attract more of, and make sure that you're labeling the images with client terms of those services.
Balayage,
Okay.
blonding, all those things.
Yes, ma'am.
And then all of a sudden, you become massively more searchable.
Yes, this will help with local SEO.
Okay. Thank
Love
you
it.
very much,
Thank you.
VP of Marketing. All right. There we go. That's how you do it, everybody. So the secret there was you just type in Google My Business. Also, let's see, you could also type in business.google.com. So that's how you do it. Okay, Holly, that's your homework. And listeners, for those of you who don't have a Google business account that is free, that helps people find you, that is your homework to do. Okay.
Smart.
These are the basics that I was talking about. All right. So I'm fascinated because I want to know if you set one up, Holly, I want to know if you start seeing more clients, in a month or 2 months or whatever.
I hope so.
I
I
don't
would
even
think
know.
so because it's
I
more
don't even know.
advertising, right?
Of course, I don't even know if you have time for more clients because I know you're
During the
pretty,
holiday season.
yeah, I know you're pretty well booked out, but
Yeah.
isn't that interesting? I mean, even if you're booked out, you still want new clients, right? Because then it
Always.
just kind of justifies potentially a price increase depending on various factors in your
Right.
business. But if you lose a couple more people or whatever, then you can fill up those spots on your books.
Mhm.
So are you excited about that?
I'm super excited. New clients are always a good thing. I'm always accepting new clients.
Yeah.
But my clients, like you said, I am pretty booked up, but I do have availability. They were smart and they started pre-booking their holiday till the end of the year appointments in July.
Oh my God, that's
They
amazing.
did not want to miss.
Wow.
So
So
they've
are you pretty
learned
much,
over the years.
it's now mid-October. Are you booked up pretty
Yeah.
much for the holiday?
No, I do have openings, But the tried and true, the ones who cannot miss, and again, I have a lot of clients who come in very, rarely, twice a year. So they're like, I
Yeah,
want my hair perfect for those holidays.
I love
So
it.
I have openings. I'm not fully booked, so I don't want to be that stylist like, oh, I'm just fully booked and I can't. No, I can take on more. I have room for more, and I look
Awesome.
forward to more, honestly, because it is more opportunities.
I love it. Okay, so you talked about the types of services that you're doing these days with the twice a year type of cadence. Would you
Yes.
consider it lived-in color that you're doing?
I call it low maintenance and yes, sort of lived in. I don't do, when I hear lived in, a lot of times I hear root shadow. And I actually don't root shadow a lot of my clients. They like to be bright. And I really am strategic with the way I place the highlights or the balayage so that it grows out softly, not relying on that root shadow for insurance blend. So it does grow out beautifully. And I will say I have clients that come in every 3 months or my highlights who come in every 2 months, but I do have the occasional twice a year girls, and I'm happy to
Yeah,
see them when they come back, but it's always a good transformation.
I love it.
Yeah.
So tell us what actually, before I ask that question, I do want to back up and get a little bit of your history. So can you
Okay.
tell us where you're from and why you became a hairstylist in the first place?
So I am from the Empire. And I became a hairstylist because I was the kid getting kitchen haircuts by my stepmom with no hair education. We were a family of six. We didn't have much money. So you just got mom's kitchen scissors, and I had baby bangs up to here. So after a few times, I just realized if I trim my own bangs, she won't do them and
Mm,
botch them. And then, it just became a little bit of a trickle. And then my sisters were like, oh, okay, will you do my hair? And was probably the start of it, but I didn't know at the time that I would be doing hair. It wasn't something that I pursued when I started going after my associate's degree. I was actually going for psychology. I wanted to be a therapist for children.
oh,
And my hairstylist was the one who said, you love hair so much. Why don't you do hair for a living? And I kind of feel like the two intertwine between being a therapist and a hairstylist. You kind of do both.
mm,
So I do think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. uh, and I've always been an artist. Like I was always creative, took art classes all throughout school and in college. So it's always been my passion. Fortunately for me, my community college that I was just going for my associate's degree had a cosmetology program. So I switched over to that and I took that. And so that
wow.
was at Riverside Community College, RCC.
And that's probably one of the most affordable ways to get a license, right?
Yes.
Mm,
I
very
was really
good.
happy with it. Yeah.
And you graduated, you took the test, you passed, and then what'd you do?
First try I passed, which was nerve-wracking. I don't
I
think I
bet.
slept the night before. Um, so I got my license in 2006.
Okay.
So you know how things were around that time. It was a little sketchy.
Yeah.
People were not paying for services. The housing market crashed, the economy crashed. It was really difficult. So
Especially in your
fortunately
neck,
from
and especially in your neck of the woods, right?
big
I
time.
mean, the Inland Empire was, I think it was ground zero for the mortgage like fraud that took place.
Yeah, it was terrible. So people are losing their homes. The balloon, I believe it was called the balloon rate, were inflated and people just couldn't afford it.
Right.
So of course, you're out of a home, you're definitely not getting your hair done. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of deals being done. You were giving out free haircuts. You were standing on the like a sign spinner trying to get advertisement for business because we didn't have Instagram. You couldn't
Right.
do it from the comfort of your suite or your salon or your home. You had to go out there and hand out your business card, which I don't even carry business cards anymore because of the
Right.
technology that we have today. But it was definitely difficult. I waitressed for a long time just to get by because waitressing paid my bills versus doing hair. So I did a lot of
Hmm.
at home hair. And then once I started going into a salon, I started at a chop shop. And it was great because I felt at ease. They gave us education and there wasn't as much pressure to do perfect work because these people were coming in for $10 haircuts. And
Right.
you're like, that's great.
Yeah.
No stress off my back. So that's kind of where I started. And then I became honestly very education focused and obsessed. And that's one of the things that my clients love. They see the value in my work because of how much I continue to invest in my education. And I just keep growing and leveling up. When I first started doing hair, I did dabble in vivids. In fact, one of my oldest posts, which you can scroll down,
Mhm.
is famous on Pinterest. And it's a vivid blue black. I don't do vivids
Oh,
anymore.
okay.
But yeah, so I did
Pinterest
everything
famous. I love that.
I did everything. Yeah, I did more things. I did men's cuts back then. I could do them blindfolded now. I've done things, but as I grew in my career, now I'm almost 20 years in, I focused on my niche. And I would say I focused on my niche relatively in the last mm, 8 years. I've really
Okay.
hunkered down. Yeah.
Hunker down and focused on blonding, but how
Blonding and
valuable
balayage.
blonding and balayage, and how valuable to get all those reps. I mean, you call it a chop shop, and there's a lot of hairdressers who have worked at, the chop shops of the world because they get a lot of reps. It's got to be good practice in certain ways. And then of course, you move on and you move up and you start focusing, you see what you like, and then you can go to different types of salons to get different types of experiences. So where did you go from the chop shop?
I went to a small salon. It's no longer exists, but I went to a small salon and it was good. I was taking things and I was learning from coworkers and I was nervous. And that's, I think, what pushed me to start taking classes. And something that I'd like to share with other hairstylists is if you're just starting off or if you're in a tight budget, I was going to Salon Centric for those free classes. I would not let my budget limit my ability. And now you can get free education online. You can take it when you have time. So there's so much opportunity for growth. But I would say it was all self pushed. I did most of it myself. I did have one wonderful salon owner who actually paid for me. Um, Gosh, I think it was 9 years ago to go to balayage classes when I worked in San Diego. And her name is Adrienne. She owns the Lab Salon and she's fantastic. And she actually used to teach for Tony and Guy. So she
Mhm.
was literally like a mentor. She's somebody who I wanted to emulate. She's very educated and successful salon owner and a sweet woman.
I love that.
Yeah.
So education, experience, repetition with hands and hair. And it sounds like, let's see, 2006, and then you moved to Salon Republic in 2019.
Wait, I'm sorry, 2020 through 2022.
2022. Oh, that's
Because
right. 2000, of
November is
course.
our 3-year anniversary.
That's right. And that's when we
And you got
opened
me
that.
down for another 3 years.
There you go. Amazing. Um, and so why did you move to the studio?
So I was at a competitor walking
Okay.
distance from here,
Got it. So you
and
were
you guys
independent
had,
before that. So then let's move back
yeah,
before that. So why did you go to your own? Why did you get your
independent.
own studio in the first place?
Okay. So COVID was what forced me into the salon suite world. Basically, the salon that I was at the time wasn't sure if they were going to be able to keep their doors open. And understandably, we just all had to do what we had to do. And I was panicked and I knew I had a full-time clientele business. And so when those doors were reopened, I wanted to make sure I had somewhere I could take my clients. And so I signed up
Beep.
competitor. Yeah. I signed up for a suite somewhere else to get my foot in the door before Salon Republic existed in our area. We didn't have the option of Salon Republic,
Yeah.
hence why, you guys would be my first choice.
Of
But I
course.
went
Thank
in
you.
there and it was culture shock. I went to the only studio available. There were no windows.
Oh,
And I was used to being around a salon of 20 to 25 stylists. So it was a major shift. And I had a lot of worries about that. How is it going to be for me and my clients? It actually kind of bonded us even more. And we could talk about things. And I'm a non judgmental person. Whatever you want to say, you can vent, let it out. And so I think having the privacy of a suite was really perfect, especially during pandemic time. And then I moved to a different room where I got a window, but the window was about this big, like a
little
cruise ship
tiny.
little
So like
sinkhole. Yeah.
2 feet by 2 feet. She's
It was
motioning.
so small.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a really small window, and it was just a peephole of a view, but it was an upgrade, and I felt good about that at the time. But yeah, so that I was like, okay, sweet life it is. I don't want to go work for somebody else in a salon now that I've been successful on my own. Although I do like working around other individuals, I knew that this was for my path. This is I'm going to be independent, and I'm going to be on my own, running a salon, whether it's just me and myself in the suite or me and other stylists. So
Yeah.
about 2022, you guys had DM'd me, and funny story, I thought it was spam. So I don't think I responded right away. Then the girls that were in my suite at the other business started talking about Salon Republic coming around. I'm like, hold on, let me look. I think I got a message from them. And I looked into it, and I actually walked through the Escondido location. I said, oh, sign me up. I'm in. So it has been really nice. The way, if I can describe it and compare the two, when I talk to other hairstylists, I tell them, we have the luxuries here. You have the wash and folded towels for you. You have the front desk manager to greet your clients and take them to your studio. You have an in house beauty supply store. And it's always clean. There's always somebody cleaning. The way I describe it is I compare it to a Lamborghini to a Honda Civic. A Honda Civic is going to get you to the mall, but a Lamborghini has the heated seats. It drives itself, maybe. So it's a little fancier. And of course, it's going to cost a little bit more, but there are luxuries to that. So
Hmm.
I do feel that I can confidently say, being in Salon Republic versus the competitor, I can actually charge more because my clients all walked in and were wowed. So I really
Awesome.
see the value in that. And I have a window suite. It is the large wall windows that everybody loves.
Hmm.
I have a great view of where squirrels and bunnies are running around.
I
So
love it.
it's really peaceful. It's my home. It's my home away from home, and I love it.
Hmm. That's amazing. And so in the background, I see that you adorned your wall with it looks like those kind of wood slats. I love those things. I actually did that
Yes.
on my bedroom wall. And
I
so
have it
did
in
you
my
have
gym at home.
do you really? Did you do that
Yeah.
yourself or did you have somebody else do that for you?
My husband, my
Your
handyman husband.
hubby did it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, he's
So
good
I'm the
at it.
artist, so I tell him where to put things, and then he just gets them done. Yeah.
Wow,
He's got
lucky
a
you.
contractor's license too, so that helps. But he's
That
very handy.
helps. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. What are you seeing behind the chair these days? Any changes? We're in, let's say, the end of 2025. We're now like 4 years out of COVID. There's been kind of inflation a couple years ago. It's somewhat moderated, but the some people are saying that the economy is struggling, but we still have like 4.5% unemployment, which is pretty darn good. So,
Mhm.
I'm not really sure how you define struggling economy, but
Right.
all of the indicators look pretty decent. I know some people are struggling. I know the entertainment industry is struggling. Since
Right.
we had the strikes, the writers and the actors strike about a year ago or so, and I know that production is largely moved to other places where it's less expensive. You're in Murrieta, so maybe you're a little protected from that. What are you seeing behind the chair?
I really haven't seen a huge shift, to be totally honest. And I know it's case by case. Fortunately, I feel like my clients are pretty consistent. I don't see them, but I hear from other stylists that clients are spacing out their appointments more. I have my people that do, and then I have my people that are every 4 weeks or every 8 weeks on the dot. So I think it really is just relative on who you speak to.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I will say it feels like I hate to, boast, but fortunately, I'm not really in that situation with clients where, finances are becoming so tight that they're not able to come in. Thankfully, they are
Uh-huh.
still coming in. Girls are still getting their extensions, which is a cost, luxury service.
Oh yeah.
So I haven't really seen the negative side effects. And I do think, I have a theory. I think part of that has to do with social media. We're taking more photos of ourselves nowadays on vacations or whatever we're doing. So we always want to look good for the camera in our photos or whatever tagged photos we're in. So I feel like ever since COVID, people just don't miss their appointments. They want that self care. They want to look fresh. They want to feel their best.
Yeah. I love it. Well, that's fantastic. even if let's, I'm trying to think of as the listeners are hearing our conversation, there's going to be some who are thinking, well, mine are spacing out their clients, my clients are spacing out their appointments, and da 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 da. And this is kind of where I go back to that Google business account. Make sure you've got it. Make sure that you're
Right.
uploading photos to it. Make sure that you are as findable or searchable as possible out there on the worldwide interweb, to make sure that you have the maximum inflow of clients as possible, as you try to fill any spaces in your books. Okay, so you're doing a great job. Obviously, you've been doing a great job for years. I've been watching you. We've known each other, and I wanted you to come on here and talk about it. I want to talk about some of the details of how you manage your business. Do you
Okay.
use a booking app? Um,
Yes.
okay, which one?
I use Square. I
You use
use Square.
Square. Okay,
I was using it since 2020, and it had worked well for me. I do get by on the free version, so it's not,
great.
pricey,
Yeah,
and it works for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
great. And all the functions work. Have you used any other booking app? Is there any intel that you got, or are you just happy with Square?
Um, I have listened. I believe you did an episode on different kinds, and
Sure.
I've heard it throughout the industry. Drogaro is definitely a top contender, and I've seen them at different beauty premiere shows, things like
Uh-huh.
that.
Uh-huh.
They're definitely up there. There's different features that they offer that are definitely enticing, but if you're a regular hairstylist like myself, I'm still going through cost of business. And when I go
Uh-huh.
down my monthly breakdown, I have to pay for this bill, I have to pay for this bill. If it's one that I can get rid of, I get rid of it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
um
Managing your books. So let's talk about that for a second. How do you manage your books? Do you actually have like a QuickBooks account and you have it on there, or do you use a spreadsheet? How do
You
you
know
do it?
what? I use a spreadsheet. I'm a little
Uh-huh.
bit of an OCD perfectionist type A. So I have everything every day filled out. Cash that I receive, Zelle, whatever I receive, everything's accounted for. And then every time that I spend money, I also, write it down. And I have it already preset in categories for how the taxes are done. So there's product one-time use category. I have that. That's such as like your hair foils that you throw away. And then there's tools is another category. So I already have it separated. My accountant loves me
Wow.
because I make it pretty
You're an
easy.
accountant's dream. You're basically doing your own taxes.
Very much, but I don't want to. I'm like,
Yeah.
here, just make sure I've got it right.
Yeah.
But I do see the appeal of QuickBooks. I absolutely do. And I'm not opposed to using that. In fact, I was talking to someone about that the other day, about switching it up. So I don't have to. But again, it costs a service fee. And
Uh-huh.
I have to find the value in that
Yeah.
for it to be worth
70,
it.
I believe it's about $75 a month. I mean, that's, what is that? $825 a year. It's not nothing. I mean,
Yeah, it's a chunk.
I pay it, for just, I got a bookkeeper who does like our family finances, and he keeps it on QuickBooks. And,
Yeah.
this helps my wife and I, manage ourselves, of course. And we got little kids, and like, God knows, like all the expenses with the little kids and everything.
Yeah.
But every month that I see the $75, I hate
Yeah.
I hate paying $75. All I think is $800 a year, to pay for this thing just
Yep.
seems ridiculous. But I
Yeah.
decided to do it because it's how I can keep an eye on it. And it's important to keep an eye on it. But you doing
Yeah.
it by hand, I mean, if it works, you don't mind it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty great.
My accountant did offer to, because she's a CPA, so she had offered to also monitor my bank account and track it all and do it for me. But again, that's a monthly fee, and hers was higher than $75.
Yeah.
Understandably, she's worth it. But if I'm managing on my own, if it's one less expense that I can have come out, then absolutely, I'd
There's a
rather save
certain
that money for
something
something
else.
else.
Yeah. Like pumpkin lattes.
I'm an at-home coffee girl. I don't go to the coffee places.
So am
I'll
I.
do a small coffee shop every once in a while and overpay $8 for this big of a coffee, but
It
that's usually when I'm
is.
traveling. Yeah.
That's how much they cost. So there's a coffee shop. It's called McKenna Coffee. It was opened up down the street from me today. They've been building it for what seems like 5 years they finally opened this place. I walk in and they have all these menu items and they're all like starting at $7.50, $8. They go up to $10 for a drink, and I'm like, geez, I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm old or cheap or what, but
No, but
I don't
people are
know.
paying that.
I know.
People are paying on a regular basis.
I know. Of course, my daughter, who's 14, she sees no problem, walking in there and getting
When you
an
don't have a
$8,
mortgage.
yeah, an $8 sweet slushy drink with matcha in it.
Yeah.
Um, that's funny. There's a certain discipline that I like about what you're doing, putting it in there by hand.
Mhm.
There's a discipline, there's a recognition of the money. You're aware of it. And with finances, with managing your finances, where you get in trouble, what I've seen out there
Mhm.
is when somebody's not paying attention, when they don't know that they've spent
Right.
$485 on matcha drinks, for the month of September. They don't
Right.
know. And
Right.
that's when you get yourself in trouble on these things. And the next thing you know, you have $15,000 of credit card debt and you find yourself in trouble. So there's a
Yeah.
lot there's a disciplined nature to what you're doing, which I think is very valuable.
Yeah, I'm extremely disciplined. But I would say that is a huge thing for everyone to look out for and be aware is literally what you're spending money on. If you're not tracking your numbers, it can get a little scary. I think
Absolutely.
Nina is a great person on that, like figuring out how much you should be charging, figuring out how much you need to make.
Which Nina?
And T,
Tulio.
there we go.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, she is. She talks about it a lot. I interviewed Steve Gomez, and
Hmm.
he's huge about all this. You got to have your eyes on what's going on, and we don't want to, right? So many people don't want to. It's not fun. Sometimes there's shame involved. You
Right.
spent $800 on matcha drinks in September. There's shame that comes along with those matcha drinks, and so it's not that fun to feel bad, that you did that, because you
Right.
think to yourself, you know, I had a great day. I deserve the $12 matcha drink. And then next thing you
Yeah.
know, $800 later.
Yeah, that
Maybe
can
I'm
add up
exaggerating with
really
$800.
quickly.
It
No, but I
does.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it adds up quickly. And if you're not paying attention, you can definitely get lost in it. And honestly, anytime that I'm worried about my numbers, like I just went to Premiere in May or end of May, and I was spending a lot. That
Orlando?
convention center, oh yeah. I was spending so much on anything. You get a soda out of the vending machine. It was $12 for one bottle, a little
Ah,
regular bottle. Everything's
unbelievable.
inflated. I'm going, how much did I spend on
Yeah.
just food and beverages that weekend?
Yeah.
But honestly, looking back and checking my numbers and how much I spent, I was like, okay, at least I'm aware. I have a budget. I kind of have an idea as what's okay and what's not okay. And don't go crazy. I think when you look, you'll have less anxiety about it rather than ignoring it and just creating this bigger monster in your head
That's
because
exactly
the
right.
reality might not be that bad,
That's exactly right.
but you
Sometimes
have to
there's
catch it
some
early.
anxiety, right at the front, but then you get a handle on it, and there's great relief, and then you feel
Yes.
control, and
Yes.
that's very, very important for a lot of people. Okay, so we just kind of went into the expense side of the equation, but let's talk about the bringing in money side of the equation. So let's talk about your prices. How have you managed your prices over the last couple years?
Oh, I love this question. I am not a fan of the phrase charge your worth because it can be very, people can be a little bit greedy sometimes. And just, I mean, I'd love to think that I'm worth $1 million, but who's going to pay me $1 million? So, how I choose my pricing is really, I actually check the demographic, the surrounding area. I check the salons, I check the hairstylists and see how much they're charging nearby. When I moved from San Diego 9 years ago, I had to drop my prices because the San Diego cost of living was higher and you could charge more in San Diego. Whereas when I moved here, it's a little bit smaller of a town, still a good size, but not quite as expensive as San Diego was. So I had to drop a couple of my prices and it's still good pricing. It's very comfortable, but I do check, I do research as to what everybody else is charging. And I don't want to be ever the cheapest hairstylist, but my goal isn't to be the most expensive. I want to be within reason and I can actually I can validate the cost of my charges, excuse me. I can validate the cost of the services that I give because of the years of experience, almost 20 years, because of the continuous education. So you know that I'm actually a professional expert. And then my work stands out on Instagram. You can see my work. You can see everything I put into it because I'm really passionate about what I do. I absolutely love it. So I think putting all of those factors together is how you determine your price range. Like, okay, bottom line, this is minimum how much I need to charge. And oh, this is the highest I think I could charge for that. But really doing a little bit of research and being honest with yourself and taking a
Mm-hmm.
little recognition and going, okay, have I done this? A, B, C, D? Yes, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
How booked out you are, obviously, another factor. If you
Mm-hmm.
are fully booked and you can't squeeze new clients in, that's kind of a problem. That's when you need to raise your prices for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. Um, Going back to post COVID, the industry, we were a little full of ourselves. We had all sorts of policies and boundaries. I remember talking about boundaries every week. Every
Uh,
guest that I had was boundaries. We've got a cancellation policy that's like, $1 million if you cancel your appointment
yeah.
and other stuff. And I understood why we did it as an industry. I was cheering us on cautiously because, of course, some boundaries make sense and and the clients are okay, but the boundaries can get out of hand. And I remember having some conversations with some boundaries that kind of felt out of hand, but I wasn't
Mm.
going to tell my guests that what they were doing wasn't right because I didn't know. I'm not in their business. So, what about you? Do you have, how do you manage the cancellation policy? How do you manage like the intake form, stuff like that for new clients?
So I actually love this question, and I have heard you talk about this on your podcast before, and I think it's very interesting. And I do think it's very individualized. I know that it can come across on your Instagram as maybe, having your policies listed as controversial, or you might put somebody off from booking from you. But for me, it's like, hey, you know what to expect. This is what to expect from me. This is how I run my business. Such as I do warn them in the policy little highlight section. Hey, if you're running 10, 15 minutes behind, we might not be able to style and blow dry you. I with cancellations, or you would have to. I don't have a cancellation fee, and I know a lot of hairstylists are big on that. I get that. But what tends to happen and what I'm hearing and seeing the most is that people will cancel their credit card. So you can't charge anything.
Mm,
For me, I understand that life happens. Your kids get sick, you get sick, things happen. So I try to have a one time whoopsie. And then in order to rebook, you're going to have to pay 50% of the services. The reason being is you canceled on me for one appointment. So I lost 100% of those services. If you want me to reschedule another 100%, that's 200% of services that I'm technically putting at risk to make nothing at.
yeah.
So I want to make sure there's some skin in the game and that they put down at least half for the upcoming, which is credited towards their services on that day. And then it just becomes a continuous thing. Once they've canceled one time, it's like, sorry, we got to have a little skin in the game. And they're understanding of that. Thankfully, my clients understand. It's just like the doctor's office. But personally, I don't have a cancellation fee.
Yeah.
Maybe I should, but it's worked for me this long. And I do feel like clients appreciate it when I don't rattle them back off with, okay, great. So sorry to hear you're sick, but you're gonna have to send me da 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 X
Yeah.
amount of dollars because you're sick today.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. The
Yeah,
whoopsie
it
makes a
works
lot of
for me.
sense because whoopsies happen in life. Whoopsies happen on our side too, on the service provider side. I mean,
So,
talk about any time that you've gotten sick and
yeah.
you're like, I just cannot go into the salon. I'm going to cancel my 4 appointments or whatever today. Does that happen?
I am really lucky, and people are going to be annoyed by this answer, but let me back up. I'm really lucky with good health, but I do take
Okay.
very good care of myself. But I did have a very unfortunate year 2 years ago where I lost my uncle and my grandfather within 24 hours.
Oh,
So I did,
sorry.
yeah, it was rough. So I had to cancel clients, and they were like, oh my gosh, you never cancel, of course. So I did have one person, and it was one of those things. It's a blessing in disguise. When people are like this, you just got to let them go. Not everybody is for you. Not all money is good money.
Yeah.
Somebody was messaging me. I let her know, hey, unfortunately, I've had family loss back to back. I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to have to reschedule you. I don't know what's going for their services, their ceremony. Let me get back to you as soon as possible. Within 24 hours, she had messaged me. Have you figured everything out yet? And I'm going, I'm in the middle of grieving. I haven't
Yeah.
figured out what I'm going to eat today if I'm going to eat. So that was really unfortunate. But I will say my clients were really understanding of that because that's just life. We need
Yeah.
some grace. And
Yeah.
if you do get sick, you get sick. I would rather somebody not come in and service me or vice versa as the service provider. Don't come and get me sick. I don't want to
Yeah.
get you sick. Let's not
Right.
spread it around.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's just again, I can't lose 100% of the services, but 50%, if you're willing to put something in to secure that time slot, I'll do it.
Yeah. All right. That makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. All right. Well, what keeps you up at night? I mean, as a hairdresser, you've got a good stable business and stuff like. What keeps you up at night, from a business perspective, if anything?
Gosh. I can't stop talking in my own brain at night, so everything keeps me up. I'm always thinking about my business. I am
Yeah.
always thinking about what's next. What's next? I'm planning currently what hair shows or hair events I'm going to next year, and planning those things out, dates and what goes with this. So, as far as a business perspective, what keeps me up at night is just making sure my clients are happy. I would say is the biggest thing that makes me sleep easy at night,
Mhm.
that they're happy. That makes me rest easy.
Mhm.
But business wise, because I stay on top of my numbers, and I will say there are 3 months at a time that I will not check my numbers. I have the spreadsheet that I can reference to, so I kind of have an idea. Don't get me wrong, I'm not completely blindsided, but I do, I am human. I do take things second nature and go, oh, well, I'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But business wise, I can't say that something keeps me up at night. I wish I
Great.
had something more. It's more about
Good.
fun stuff,
I
really.
don't want you
It's
to be
about
kept
what
up at night.
education. Yeah, I really love what I do. I think the thing is, I rest easy too, is if I make a mistake, because I am human, I am not perfect. Just because it says I'm the best hairstylist does not mean I don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
But I actually genuinely will fix it right then. I blow dry. I go, do you like the tone? Is it perfect? Do you want to change the cut? We can reshape it. We can do anything. I try to fix things right then and there to not have them come back.
Yeah.
And that's honestly probably how I sleep so well at night.
Yeah. I love it. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
It's the best possible answer. Um,
Just
let's see. Do you have any hair horror stories?
So I had, when I worked at the chop shop, I had a gentleman walk in with his girlfriend, and she's sitting very close nearby in the lobby. And I'm getting ready to start his cut. And I ask him, okay, what do you like? And he tells me, I want 1/8 on the sides and da 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 da. And he's telling me, I go, 1/8. He goes, yeah. I go, you realize that that's teeny tiny, tiny. And I'm looking at his hair and I'm like, unless you haven't had a haircut in 6 months, you are not a 1/8. So I start right on the front, right on the sideburns, so he could see and possibly correct me because I was expecting to be corrected. I knew. And I kept telling him, I don't think that's what you're asking for, but if you're sure. So sure enough, he doesn't say anything. He's just lovely. He's just sitting there watching that short fade go in. His girlfriend jumps up from the lobby and runs across. And she's like, what are you doing? That's way too short. And I'm like, I literally asked him 3 times. He goes, babe, I know I told her the wrong one. She tried to tell me.
Oh my God, that's
so
so funny.
so I was able to shift it, but I had taken
Yeah.
off a lot at that point. And luckily with men's cuts, they do grow out pretty quickly. But that
So
I felt
fast.
terrible. I'm like, sir, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. That's
Thought
really
the poor
funny.
girlfriend was gonna kill me, but luckily it smoothed out really well. I think the most the worst situation that could have happened.
Yeah, that's not so bad. That's not so bad
Yeah.
at all. That's
Yeah. I
we can
could
deal with
have
that one.
had Yeah, I could have had a worse situation. I worked, thankfully, I was a commission stylist at the time. I was a newer stylist, and I think a commission is great at beginning stages. I was in a new town, so it helped me build. But anyways, I had a African American textured hair client come in who had booked online, and I had never met her before. And personally, I have zero experience with African American textured hair. I don't have any knowledge.
Right.
Um, she had permanently straightened hair here down, which is about her ear to the ends. It was perfectly straight. And then her texture at the roots for about 6 inches.
Wow.
And I looked at her hair and I'm like, huh, okay, you've got some sort of straightening, chemical straightening done. And she wanted a balayage. I'm like, okay. And my spider senses, whatever you call it, are tingling. I'm like,
Hmm.
this might not be a good thing. So I walked in the back room and I'm talking to the salon owner. I go, she wants a balayage. What do I do? And she's like, you cannot. And I had asked the client, I said, do you have any kind of smoothing or straightening system happening to your hair? She said, yeah, it's a Japanese straightening system. And I'm like, okay. I didn't know at the time what that meant, but I just knew I needed to be careful. Thank God I asked and didn't just start applying. So I go in the back room, the salon owner's like, do not bleach her hair. If you put any lightener on that hair, it's going to melt off. So thankfully, I went back and I let the client know. I said two things. I said, number one, I am so sorry. I wouldn't want to do you a disservice by trying to attempt to do your hair when I'm not familiar with this hair type. I said, number two, anyone who is familiar with the texture is going to know that you should not put lightener on a chemically Japanese straightened hair.
Yeah.
And so she was really sweet. Thankfully, like we hugged and laughed at the end, but I
Oh,
felt
okay.
bad that I had to turn her away, but rightfully
Yeah.
so. I
Yeah.
would have been doing her a disservice, but I did refer her to a local salon that she, I'm sure, would have loved. So
Right. Well,
yeah,
that's good.
I've kind
Yeah.
of avoided, I've been a scared stylist a lot in my career. I've always been like, whatever's scary, I try not to do. I don't push the limits with lightener. I'm a 10 vol girl. The most I'll do
Uh-huh.
is 20 vol. I go low
Uh-huh.
and slow. I check my clients every 15 minutes. I don't double book. I am like rigid and OCD and
What about bond
protective of.
builders? You use bond builders?
I do. I actually do. I used Olaplex when it first came out. It's a great system. There's just a lot of steps to it. And when B3 came out, I tried it, fell in love with it, and I've been addicted ever since.
Very good.
K18 is probably the new top contender that a lot of people are thrilled about. I need to take more education on that before I start using it behind the chair.
Uh-huh.
I've had two classes that they've referenced to it, but I do need to get a little bit more education on that and see how to use it correctly
Okay.
and not just trust the product
Yeah. But B3 is working
because
well. So good.
yeah, it's been, I mean, a decade probably close
Love it.
to. I've been using it for a long time.
Amazing. Any last words for the community?
Just stay inspired. Never stop educating yourself. Always, stay connected to your community. Just because you're in a suite does not mean that you're alone. Go to those hair shows, go network, have fun in the social media world. I can't tell you how much fun I've had meeting people that I've become Instagram friends with, and
Mm-hmm.
then meeting them in real life is like meeting a long lost friend that you're reunited with, and you've never met this person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say you can easily stay connected wherever you're at, but most importantly, continue to grow, continue your education, and keep giving it your best. And I think, the universe will reward you and pay it back.
Absolutely. All
Yeah.
right, Holly, this was great. Thanks so much for all this knowledge and sharing.
Thank you so much for having me.